Hey guys, what's going on? This is John with Gamester81.com, and I recently attended Classic Gaming Expo in Las Vegas. And they have this really cool section, which is the video game museum, and I wanted to do a quick walkthrough and try and show you what they had. A lot of demo here, as you can see here, Atari. This is the Atari computer, and you start with, of course, the grandfather of consoles, the Odyssey 1 by Magnavox. They had some carts there with boxes, which are pretty rare. Magnavox Odyssey 2 came out in 1978. There were several systems came out before then, but I guess they decided to place them by manufacturer. Channel F, Fairchild Channel F, first console with interchangeable cartridges. There is Studio 2 by RCA. Also came out around the same time. Bally Astrocade by Bally. Several models came out in both the tan and kind of the cream color. Emerson Arcadia, which is cool. Cosmos never was released. That's a handheld right there by Atari. It's a prototype, never released. Very, very rare. Called the Cosmo. Some Atari 2600 consoles. That's a Columbia Home system right there, which is by came out by Coleco, available through the Columbia mailing service. Atari 2700, only released in Japan. And very rare. That's wireless controllers right there. That's a prototype for, got 5200. Never came out with wireless controllers. Really cool, very rare. Atari 5200 with trackball. I actually like the 5200. Got a bad rap. Controllers aren't very good, but there's some good games for the system. Very overlooked retro system, in my personal opinion. Here's a 7800 right there. It's a prototype clear case. Right there's a stand-up arcade that's called Dual Space, which is actually the very first arcade of all time. Kind of randomly is there. But on the back, they had a bunch of vintage computers, so if you're into that kind of thing, they had a whole bunch of those. Of course, starting with the Ataris that they had, of course, and later on going to the Colecos, which we'll get to in a second. A lot of disk drives and floppy drives. Really interesting to see these floppy drives. Dot matrix computers, or printers rather, boxes. Most of the stuff was in actually pretty good shape, and this museum is, like I mentioned before, a work in progress. Their goal is it's actually ran by Joe Santulli, who owns Digital Press, also runs a convention. His goal is to really create a museum in itself where people can go and visit. They have, of course, had some information about these. Some of the very first laptops made by Atari. It's amazing how computers have just evolved over the years. It's really fascinating. I apologize for the dim lighting. It's unfortunately, it was very dark here. There is the Intellivision with Intellivision keyboard, which is pretty rare. The Aquarius by Mattel. And even in person, it was really dark. And I just learned my lesson. I purchased a light next time. Here is the ColecoVision, one of my favorite consoles. Atom computer by also Coleco, and box. It actually cost Coleco a ton of money to do that. And here is a Texas Instruments computer, and you get the Commodore PET. VIC-20, which came out before the Commodore 64, which is a huge success for Commodore, which is right there. You get the floppy drive, and there's a Commodore SX64, the portable, Commodore 64C, the more compact version, leading up to the 128, and of course leading on to the Amigas. The Amiga computer line was very successful in Europe. I know those fans who were watching in Europe are probably familiar with the Amiga. Did fairly well here in the States as well, in North America, but definitely was huge in Europe. There's a Dragon's Lair poster, very cool. That's a Coleco, or I'm sorry, that's an Apple IIc computer. That's what I grew up playing. Here is some imports. You got the Famicom by Nintendo, the Twin Famicom, that pink console. It's a disk drive and Famicom in one. Of course, the Nintendo, the Power Glove. That's hard to see, but that's the Nintendo Famicom box. Only in Japan. It's basically a demo Famicom console where it was displayed in hotels. Very, very rare. Earthbound box, complete. And some Super Nintendo material. It's very hard to see, but that is actually a Sega display unit for the Master System. And they even had an exercise bike. Again, I apologize for the lighting, guys. It was terrible in this room. That's an exercise bike for the Super Nintendo we just passed. You basically hook up to this game and you exercise while you play. TurboGrafx 16, another underrated retro console in my opinion. PC Engine with CD unit. The carrying case, a lot of display coming into the Jaguar section with the Jaguar CD, the console. They even had a prototype one there as well. Of course, Nintendo 64, which is classic. You had the gold edition right there. I think that was a Toys R Us exclusive. There's a 3DO, the Sega Saturn, PS1. They had some dev consoles as well here, which is really cool to see. That's a Dreamcast tower right there. It's a programmer's tower. Better lighting in this section of the room, of course. Some merchandise from the classic era of video games. A lot of Pac-Man, a lot of Game & Watch watches right there. Frogger, Qbert, which is really cool. And classic magazines. I just love going through perusing through these magazines. They're so awesome and epic. Here is some more prototypes and things that were never officially released. I think a lot of these items are probably donated, I imagine, to the museum. More games that were unreleased games and prototypes that were never really officially came out. That's a Pac-Man, some CDs and handhelds and controllers, overlays, stuff like that. These are patches from the classic gaming era. Get some more modern ones. I saw a Wii, just passed by a Wii one, but yeah, Atari. A lot of classic arcades. These are cool because you can iron these on pretty much anywhere. A lot of pins and buttons, of course. Here are some more just kind of merchandise and prototypes of covers for games. You can flip through this, shows pictures as well. This convention was really fun. Here's some GamePro, Nintendo Power. These are like placards. I guess some of the first that they released. These are some awards as well for games and more placards and stuff like that. This expo was a lot of fun. They had a lot of people here. I'd say there's probably over 1,000 people attended throughout the weekend, 2-day convention. A great time. Last time they held it was 2010. And of course, this is a couple years later now. Some board games by Milton Bradley, Pac-Man, Berserk, Turbo, Miss Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Turbo, a lot of classic arcades, Tron, Pole Position, hats and shirts, merch from Nintendo. That's a television display unit, which is cool. And this is the more in television, the Tandyvision, which is a Radio Shack version, the INT, the System 3, it came out later, Super System, some different variations of the console. Here is Intellivision 2. That's with the keyboard and everything like that. Here's another musical keyboard, which we saw earlier that was in the corner. Here's some games that were never officially released for the Intellivision. Here's some more games. That's Return of Jedi. That's an unreleased game for the Intellivision. Really cool that they have that. Some more rich vintage stuff. This is more displays for the Intellivision as well as some handhelds, controllers, unusual controllers. Some of these are bootleg controllers and some of them are just really rare ones. Some more display stuff, some games and boxes. I like the display stands that they had available there. A Virtual Boy in boxes, a Game Boy display unit, very cool. This is some more robots and different odd things like that. There's a little hamster robot there. I'm not quite sure where these guys are from. There's a GameCube that they kind of opened up and kind of showed the inside of a GameCube. They did the same thing with some other consoles as well. Yeah, another Intellivision keyboard. That's the third one we see here. But they're very cool. Some more games for the Intellivision, and this is boxes and stuff. What's come up here? More, just more games that were unreleased here, and some rare titles for the system. That's a big display unit for a handheld. That's pretty cool. I think Milton Bradley might have made that. That's a device you put the Intellivision into and it turns into a computer. A lot of handhelds, Game & Watches, this is the section. If you're into Game & Watches, this is the section where they had those. A lot of classic portable LCD games, which is awesome. Some Tiger games, and it was cool, really cool to see these in boxes. I can't imagine them moving, just logistically moving all these. It's just amazing. And they had this really cool Defender, some of the classic Coleco tabletops. Here's the Game & Watches talking about. A lot of them in box. Those are super rare. Here's that's really cool. That's the that's the Microvision. That's the very first handheld. Couldn't think of the name at first, but that's the very first handheld. I have one of those. That's a Lynx. Of course, some prototype Lynx. Like there's a female Lynx that they were coming out with that was like kind of a cream color and like a turquoise. Never came out, like a light blue, and that never came out. It's cool that they have those there. Lynx is another system that was really cool. Some Game Gear games. That's some Tiger systems as well. That's an Atari Video Music that did really bad. Came out in 1978. Did terrible. that thing right there, that stadium right there, that was I actually own that. That was really cool. That's a arcade. This is a display unit for the Vectrex, which is cool. Vectrex actually opened up and showed the insides of the Vectrex. People are checking it out. Some bags and duffel bags for the Vectrex. That's the Adventure Vision. Very, very rare. That's super rare. It's really cool to see that. And there's some more vintage games. Here's some more box handhelds and Game & Watches and displays, and it was really cool. So I really highly recommend you guys check this out. I know, find out more information. Pac-Man stuff called, they were going to call it Puck-Man. They had some items that were called Puck-Man, and it was going to be called Puck-Man, but Japanese decided to change it to Pac-Man because they were worried that they're going to change the P to F. People are going to call it, you put it together. But appreciate you guys watching, and thank you so much for subscribing, and I'll see you guys soon. You guys take care.